Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the first group. So today we will discuss about introduce translation and culture, and also the key terms of translation and also culture. Okay. Before that, I would like to introduce our group. My name is Mela Restiani and my partner Melda Nepriani. So let's start the discussion today. Okay. The first explanation is about introduce about translation and also culture. Will be explained by myself. Okay. Translation. According to Newmark, at 1981 in page 7, translation is a craft consists in the attempt to replace a written message and or statement in one language by the same message and or statement in another language. So it's mean that translation is like replace a written message and or statement. So statement or in this or statement or message in here, like for example, like um, the message don't sitting here in Indonesia. So to translate it or to translation is make this statement or this message replace this message or this the statement in another language, but the meaning of this statement or this message can be the same, but in another language, maybe in English language or in French and other language. Okay. Okay, next, translation means converting written information from one language into another. Conversion is not restricted to written text. For example, text can be restricted to the CD, DVD, or sound file. So, like I said that the translation is convert written information from one language into another. So for example, like I think from these cases, I think like the translation, the people who translate something like a movie and other. So here I can make an example from the movie. So for example, like the movie from British, of course this movie use English language. So in other country, when the someone in others country want to see this movie in in their in their language, of course translation is needed. So the translator make a translation about this movie. They can translate in the below of the what is that of the of display, I think like that. Okay. And next I will discuss about culture. Okay. Culture. Newmark define a culture as the way of life and its manifestation that are peculiar language as its means of expression. Okay, from this statement, I underline about the way of life. So, Newmark define culture as the way of life. So the way of life in here, like customs, language, and then moral, and anything that in people or someone or some group of people. So culture, like everyone have a culture and different culture with other country. For example, like Indonesia have their own culture, and the other country, of course, they also have their own culture too. Okay. Next, culture is a complex whole which include knowledge, belief, art, law, moral, customs, and many other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. So like I said before, that the culture include knowledge, belief, art, law, moral, and many other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. Okay, the last I will discuss about the relationship between translation and culture. Okay, translation is an instrument of education as well as of truth, precisely because it has reached readers whose culture and educational level is different from and often lower or earlier than that of the readers of the original. Okay. Foreign communities have their own language structure and their own culture, and then foreign individuals have their own way thinking and therefore of expressing themselves. But all this can be explained, and as a last resort, the explanation is the translation. So from this statement, I can conclude that so everyone everyone or everyone in foreign communities and foreign individuals, they have their own language structure, and then their own culture, and then the foreign individual also have their own way thinking and therefore of expressing themselves. So to know or to understand about their language structure, and also about their culture, of course it can explain by the translation. So translation can make us know and understand about another culture, and also another language in others country in our language. Okay, I think like that. So that's all about my explanation about introduce translation and culture. So the next explanation is about the key terms of translation and culture will be explained by my partner Melda Nepriani. Okay, so I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Melda Nepriani Brusmiring. Okay, in this video, I will continue the explanation by Mela Restiani about key terms of translation and culture. Okay, before we start about the material, I will explain about culture. According by the National Book Encyclopedia 1919-1905, page 112, culture is a term used by social scientists for a way of life. Every human society has culture, of course, and culture includes society, arts, belief, customs, institutions, inventions, language, technological, and values. So language is an inseparable aspect of a certain culture, and the from stations process should rule out culture as an important aspect of forming language. In other words, language is a product of culture itself. Culture is a part of human life that is reflected in everyday alive either through certain words, deep, deeds, or habits. Language reflects the culture of a place and and say, shapes the mindset and outlook of life or these users of life of its users. Okay, I will explain the material. Key terms of translation and cultures have four explanations. The first is abusive fidelity. According by Philip L. Lewis, 1985, page 43, calls abusive fidelity a mode of translations that values experimentations, tempers with usage, seeks to match the polyvalencies and pluriposities and expressive stresses of the original by producing its own. The second is acceptability. Acceptability is the result of the translator's initial dedication to subject him or herself to the norms prevailing in the target of culture. The third is adaptation. In this sense tends to be associated with particular contexts or genres such as theatre translation, audiovisual translation, advertising, and children's literature. These are there are characterized by a high degree of interplay between linguistic text and other aspects such as image and sound. And third is context of cultures. Culture context looks at the society the characters live in and at how their cultures can affect their behavior and their opportunities. And the fourth is cross-cultural pragmatics. The study of culturally different ways of using language and our different expectations among different members of linguistics communities regarding how meaning is negotiated. Okay, I will add a little material about translation and culture, because yesterday I read some books and describe this material like this. The first is described like this. Culture is way of life and its manifestations peculiar to one speech community. There are five. The first is ecology. Ecology in here explain about way of life and ecology in here explain about animals, plants, local winds, mountains, and plains, ice, and extra. And the second is material culture. or artifact. There's explanation about food, clothes, housing, transport, and communications. The third is social culture about work and leisure. And the fourth is organizations, customs, ideas, political, social, legal, religious, artistic. And the last is gestures or gestures and habits. Gesture and habits. Yesterday I read about often discuss. Often described in non-cultural or language. Okay, I think enough. Thank you for your great attention. Good afternoon.